Welcome back. We are about to do round three. This is Matthew O'Connor and Neil Gann. Neil, which matchup are we about to watch?
We are looking at Bob Linn and
Your
Jason.
mic is off, Neil.
Is that true? Let me reload here.
Oh, wait. My mic is off. I'm sorry. My mic is off. I
Funny.
couldn't.
All right, well, we're looking at Bob Linn versus Jason Ubeika, both expert players, both tough contenders.
The results are wrong right now, but don't worry. We will get them done soon. Can we get a live update on these two players' records? Is that possible? Perfect. This doesn't look right either. Um,
Looks like Bob Linn is at 0-2 on the scoreboard, and Jason, where is Jason?
Jason is, well, we can check the website
At
if we
1-1. All
have
right, so coming
a lot
in.
of a lot of games left. Neither one is really out of it yet. Bob Lynn with a 3-point loss to Alex Seaholm. It's a close game. I don't think that negative 50 buy is real on Jason. I'm not sure why that is happening, but I think Jason is 1-1 with a nice win against Sam Rosen in the previous round.
All right, well, let's get into it.
Jason will be going first, and he is about to pull some tiles, and we can see another game of Scrabble. Jason with an R. AERRIPG. So he's going to have the very nice bingo of Grapier. Are you okay with just playing the high scoring one? You get one option that scores more, but it sets up ZE, which is not very fun. Are you okay with setting up ZE like that, Neil?
I am okay with this.
Yeah, I think every opening sets something up, and 2 points is 2 points. So don't mind defaulting to the higher scoring one, and I think it'll do just fine here, Bob, but with a pretty ugly rack, unfortunately.
You think it's worth playing here? I would struggle to make a play from this rack, I think.
Yeah, it doesn't look like there's too many options. It might be that Jason will be forced to, sorry, Bob will be forced to exchange. It's tough with four eyes.
Oh, is this a challenge?
It's Bob challenging. Okay, well, we are back with the challenge cam. We're going to see their live reactions. Jason will be getting 5 bonus points due to the challenge, and he will be up 79-0. Bob with an ugly rack of 4 eyes and some other clunky stuff. The best play to try and play through it is very ugly. It is Inia for 8 points. I think we'll see an exchange pretty quickly, Neil. How do
All
you
right.
think does the G on the board change your opinion on, say, AIN?
Well, it looks like it has for Bob. He's keeping IN instead of AN. This is a very marginal difference, with the A potentially overlapping better over the RM working better with floaters, the IN working better to the G.
I like this choice. I think AIN is another good choice. The sim likes AIN because the IN kind of gives you a reset, and the A is a nice tile to go for an ING bingo with. But IN number 2, probably because of the G on the board. So good vision by Bob as Jason with somewhat of a nice rack. Got some stuff. What do you do to parse this situation, Neil?
I guess first off, I'm looking, I'm probably going up by 100 or so, so I'm looking to see what I can do to close some of the nicer floaters while scoring.
That is a great idea. What is your opinion on something like Faragor? It is not the most defensive, but it kills some of the floaters. Or would you prefer maybe something like Thor killing the E and I floaters, four on top of Rapier? That seems like a way to kill some of the nicer floaters. I don't know if there's a great way to kill everything.
Right. And depending on what I leave open, I would also look at how compatible that is with what I'm keeping. And if I play 4, keeping AGLR, that is not so great with what stays open, which is contains GRA.
That is true. Yes, the duplicates end up bad, and when you're thinking about the floaters, if you have the same tile on your rack as a floater, you are effectively drawing into bingos with duplicates. It's going to be a little bit less likely. Jason's going to do frag, keeping two vowels, which will make him a little bit less likely to run into bingo trouble. The sim, however, likes loaf on top of Grapier, which is very defensive with this lead, and it kills all of the vowel floaters. That's
Yes,
a really nice idea. One of those plays where you maybe have to not be too scared of the consonants because you're scoring so much.
Bob has played quickly.
I worry what he's going to be able to do without an E or an A or an O, but he has drawn an A, so he will probably end up okay.
Yeah, is it worth considering something like Jerd here, keeping
I think
HMTT
so. I don't like
more?
being that far behind this early, so
Let's take a look at what Jason has got as options here. This board is kind of shaping up to be helpful to Jason's goals of keeping Bob from bingoing for as long as possible. Do you think from Jason you would be reading Bob, putting Bob on not having or having any tiles?
I would put Bob as being consonant heavy because at the very least, A, E, O, and U all play. Oh, sorry, J, E. Still, I would put him on consonants because with a vowel, you think he's going to get something nicer than 19, given that he has the J, Even with just like an O, you can play
Yep.
Jor, which is
Jor,
26.
Jar, yep. Lots of options. So I wouldn't necessarily think that Bob had kept Jeté here, although um,
I think
I
if
would.
he's going to have a vowel, that's not too unlikely, especially if he has just one vowel. Core is an interesting choice. We worry about Jason getting into consonant trouble here. An interesting option is Korat if you're really scared of Chete. There's also Tarok who can spell Korat backwards.
Bob has drawn fairly balanced
Yes.
from.
Nice looking rack. I don't think there's quite a bingo. Bob is going to have to try to figure out a way to maybe score some and maybe balance. He's going to do hot. I like this. ADIN is improved by the floating G. He will have a
Keeps
decent
A
amount of.
for Hota.
Unfortunately, this time Jason has some very nice options with Hota. He can play something like Rattles to the right. But it is a good idea. It's the right idea at this score, and it wins the sim handily. So very nice job, Bob.
From Jason's perspective, I would probably just be looking at which of my bingos scores the most first, because there's likely to be a pretty big difference between the highest and lowest scores here. And then I would be
Yes,
looking at whether any of those does something that's
yes, there are
indefensible.
a couple options. He can play Latters, Latters, and he can play Tattlers. Those would be the highest scoring ones, but I don't know if I want to set up a triple triple at this score, Neil. How do you approach this? You can play rattles and sacrifice 5 points, but not leave a triple triple.
I think at this scoreline, 5 points for Rattles looks pretty fine to me. I
I
If it
think
were
that
more like 10 or 15, like 15 points difference, I would not be playing Rattles, but 5 points,
yes,
I'm
I
not
think
unhappy
that's an
with.
excellent idea, and I think this is a great example of hey, we are putting in a floating S and we are leaving hot, which takes lots of front hooks, but neither of those are going to get Bob back into the game. The triple triple is what's going to get Bob back into the game, and the letters and tattlers open a triple triple. So that ends up being relatively the biggest deal, and we do not want that. So we're probably going to prefer something like rattles, even at a bit of a point sacrifice, and maybe at a bit of
Yeah,
increasing amount of score.
Macondo likes Rattles about the same as
Yeah,
Tattlers. Um,
that
I
is
think
that is what I am seeing too. I think it's a great choice if you want to be a little bit more conservative. Jason is going to go with startle. I might not have seen rattles. Bob with an interesting option. He can take the points with the waddies, which is probably what you want to do here. You know, he needs to score and then bingo to really stand a chance at this point, but it is very risky. Jason can end the game on the spot if he has something nice on the triple. Are you going to recommend waddies, Neil?
I think it's kind of forced in a way. It's the only thing that keeps things somewhat within bingo range, and it does fork the board.
I think you're right. Now, if yes, I think that is the right idea. Bob is playing hot and wad. Yes, that is pronounced hot. It is an archaic spelling of hot, so it is pronounced hot.
This does keep a hook to startle, and he does have Wadi or Wads or Wat if he draws it. Well, looks like
It's
both
correct.
players with the blank, but
Bob.
Bob almost certainly bingoing, and Jason almost certainly
Jason,
not.
Jason will have a bit of work to do to groom his rack before he bingos, but I'm sure it feels good to have the blank. What are we gonna do here? Are we gonna start to think about a long-term lockdown sort of strategy, Neil? Is there a way to accomplish that?
Well, this board has a couple. Well, it's very open. It has good lanes for both sevens and eights right now, and I don't think that Jason can do anything about both of those immediately. I do agree that it's worth considering the long term board dynamics as a result of any play, as well as what might advantage me if I can keep something that would make me likely to bingo next turn.
Yeah, I kind of like Towie through the T and Startle. I think there's a lot of good things to say about that. It kind of makes it hard to do anything on the right because it slots two kind of not great floaters and then obstructs a lot of sevens. But Jason is going to go with Cowie for 23 points. Another solid option. IC blank being a lot more likely to bingo than ICC blank because of the lack of a duplicate. Bob has an interesting decision. He can go for broke with Anasol, which is his highest scoring bingo. But he is instead gonna. Oh wait, it's not going for broke. I'm sorry. The highest scoring bingo is Anasol making frags and Jete, but Bob is gonna play manliest for 78. Another great choice. Jason with one bingo. It is a 7. It plays in a couple of places, but there's one main one. Can anybody in the chat spot it? Let's see. Indicia, very nice. That is the bingo, but Jason is going to play Assany. Niel, what do you think here? Does Bob have to suck it up and play QI, leaving 5 consonants, or is there another better option?
I think it's hard to pass up that number of points
Yeah,
at the score.
I think there's a lot of
He,
great
yeah,
choices. But there are 4 U's unseen. It's like if you do something like fib, you might be able to get
right.
a nicer bailout. Maybe he'll draw something like quoted and be in a lot better of a position, getting 50 some for the Q instead of 35, leaving 5 consonants. So Bob is going to go with a fib. Nice choice. It wins the sim.
Very nice.
I like the idea. It also blocks some stuff on the triple. Unfortunately for Bob, Jason is left with quite a few options. How do you decide which bingo to play, Neil? Or is there any way to pass up a bingo in a logical way?
Well, as with the previous situation, previous game, we saw some of these choices with scoring a bit and delaying a bingo. I think what I'd be looking at is if I can improve the likely board position after I get my bingo down. If I can make a play that accomplishes this goal, then I might consider not bingoing, especially if my bingo score is something like 65 or 70 while opening a huge spot. What do you think, Matt?
I think in this case, alibis or alibied to the left of fib is great for the board because it obstructs startled, and it obstructs the E in startle. I would not bingo if the only bingo's opened up the triple triple. I think in a case like that, something like Bice and being a little bit patient would end up better. But because of what alibis or alibied does to the board, I think those are going to be much better choices this time. And the sim is concurring with me. It is saying that alibis or alibied are going to be by far the best choices. Jason will be about 97% to win if he puts one of those down. I like it. I think it's the right idea. It's one of those situations where you just have to iterate through your choices. Can always think about passing up a bingo, especially when the possible leave you keep is pretty nice, like AIL blank. But this time, I think it's gonna be something like alibis, right of fit to the left of fib. Very good defensive play because it obstructs several bingo lines, and it is a bingo. This has been a friendly game for Jason tiles wise. He has gotten 2 bingos already and he is about to get a third. It looks like he is spelling out alibis. Let's see where he puts it. I imagine it will be to the left of fib. It doesn't make a lot of sense to play it with startles. And here we go. Great choice. We will see in just a sec what the blank is. It could be an S or a D. We'll be getting a blank cam soon, I believe. That is the S.
And I kind of like that because there's fewer letters that overlap to the right of the S, and we're not really creating a new lane.
Yeah, the D taking A, E, I, O, and the S taking H, I, O, T, letters that are less numerous in the bag. So Bob will have slightly less possibilities on that triple, which is one of the better places to score. So I like that choice. Bob, do you think Bob just has to play QAT? I don't like 12 points, but I don't know what else he will be able to do. Another option, I guess,
Mm,
is metered. I hate leaving the queue when I'm this far behind, but there are
there
four
are still
U's.
4 U's, as you said earlier.
So let's see what Bob is thinking. What is on his mind? I think I kind of like metered because hey, maybe I need to draw something like Laqueer underneath metered to have a chance. That would be a great fit. It would score almost 100 points. I might need to hit something like that. Bob is going to do med, which is interesting because it does set up a relatively difficult to use triple lane with the D. If that can stay open for several turns, it could give him something. But I am a bit worried about his leave.
Right.
With Jason's rack, he has a couple of interesting choices. Alpine, an obscure 6 letter word, is nice because it blocks the D and it leads to a situation where Jason can play perpendicular to it and exhaust a large stretch of the bottom. There's also things like peened and peened, many spellings of peen, and they all mean to strike with a ball peen hammer. He can play a couple of those. Eupnia to the underneath manliest is very risky. I probably wouldn't do it, but it's a nice option if you want to get rid of the U. How do you think through these positions, Neil? You've got a big lead, but you have to be careful. Bob could still come back.
Right. And I'd be thinking about what his most likely comebacks are, which are either two decently scoring bingos, which looks pretty tough with this pool, actually, and the board, or,
He does
um,
play Eupnia. Bob will have Tranquil, and he is starting to
wow,
spell it out. So this could get interesting.
okay.
Oh, never
Very,
mind.
no,
Never mind. Safe and sound. He's playing Eupnia.
yeah, this doesn't open anything new. It also doesn't score quite as much as his.
Yes. Bob is quickly putting down his best option of Kintar. It is a currency of some sort, and it is his only real option. He will have a tough path to come back, but it is still possible, especially if Jason draws poorly. But it looks like Jason will end up with some choice with the Q. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
Oh, wow.
It looked really good for him for a second. It doesn't look like he has something now. How do you think through this, Neil? Are you worried about the Q? Are you super worried about the Q? I think something like Mooned is going to be okay because it scores a lot, and you just have to hope Bob doesn't have a triple triple through the Q.
Yeah, I don't think the scores are updated. Is that true? Jason
Yeah,
should be up
Jason,
about.
I think Jason's is accurate. Bob's has not been accounted for. Bob is at 254, which means that Jason is ahead 87.
So at 87 points, I think that's a little bit different from being ahead 120. It is Jason's turn, so it's 87 and a tempo. I think I it would still be hard for me to worry about the triple triple through the queue over something like just getting through this rack.
Yeah, and
Getting
Jason is spelling mooned. I like this idea. It's enough points that even one bingo will basically never matter, even if it's through the queue. Bob with a tough rack, he's probably thinking, how do I bingo through the queue next turn? Because there's not a lot of choices. Would you open up a triple triple, Neil, just to give yourself several shots? Like something like ROUP, LOUP.
Roup Loup.
He's pretty desperate, and that seems like a good way to come back because if Jason insta plays through the queue, you might get a triple triple. If he blocks that spot, maybe you can hit something through the queue.
I think that's about as good an idea as anything at this point. The game, there's not very much game left, so if Bob makes something happen, he needs to make it happen pretty quick.
Hey, maybe I will play something like Roop and I will draw Rosulate or something like that. Maybe I will play Roop and it will get blocked, but I will draw something through the queue. There's not a lot of good choices, but there are certainly ways to try to force something. For instance, he could draw. Oh, there might not actually be anything. He could draw something like Baroques. If there was a B in the bag, there's not, but still the idea is there. Perhaps if he plays a Roop, he can draw into something. I'm not sure what's there.
And Bob has a lot of time right now, so he can afford to iterate through
He could
what.
play something like Roop and fish for Soliquid. That would be very nice if he hit it.
From Jason's perspective, what do you think he's thinking about right now?
I think he is wanting to play quad or quid if it stays open. I don't know what else he would be thinking about.
Sure,
The
yeah.
sim I run really likes loop, thinking that you have to go for broke with a triple triple. I think that is if you're gonna do something, it has to be pretty desperate like that at this score. We will see if he can draw something like Resolute. That's not terribly unlikely with the four E's unseen, but I wonder if it stays open, Jason might do something very paranoid, being that he will be up over 100 even afterwards.
Yeah, if he does play Loop, and he does have the LOU set up right now, I think in Jason's position, I would be checking for triple triples through the queue, and if I don't see them, I might actually do that paranoid play or something that
So it
plays
is.
the E and
Yeah,
block.
Bob's doing it. Bob is doing it. Now
Right.
Jason will be in an interesting position because I would probably want to play Quid, but is there an argument for something paranoid? Maybe Volgo, maybe something that touches the triple, like Luch.
I guess I would look again at the score, because Quid would put me up. What? Oh, is this a challenge? We're seeing a challenge, I think.
Okay, Bob will get a 5 point bonus as this is a valid word. It is an alternate spelling of leap. It can be turned into overleap with a W, Owerloup, another fun word which past tenses to overloop it and overloopin, not overlooped. It's a fun one. Jason is left with an interesting decision because he is up 106. His best equity plays are either Vug on the bottom or Quid or Quad or something like Doe, but we will see. He might want to block the triple triple at all costs as he is up 100. Do you think blocking the triple triple is worth it, Neil?
I think if you're very confident that the only triple triples available are something like Resolute, which would score in the low hundreds,
Oh,
if I'm going up by more than that, I might do what Jason is doing. Like, even if he triple triples, I'd still be up 30.
the sim is saying that he needs to block the triple triple, but it is very close. I think I would prefer something like Ghoul, but Jason has chosen to take 42 and block. He's going to end up blocking something like Ropes that Bob had that could have gotten him that and then a Z play. So will end up working out pretty well.
Yeah, it seemed like if Jason were up an additional 20 or 30 points, just playing quad should be fine unless there's a Z triple triple. But in this
Yeah.
case, it was pretty close.
And here's one of the maybe the less good situations with the quad. Bob has a ZE or ZO, and this is one of those spots where maybe he can wriggle his way back in with that, followed by a bingo. Jason will probably be okay with the exact score, but these are the situations where, hey, blocking that bingo lane is a big deal. But ultimately, Jason is still a heavy favorite. I think that they are both good choices. I'm leaning towards ZE because of the E's left. It is a draw into Resolute. We know that it won't stay there because of X. Bob does not know that.
And that's as good an attempt as anything, I think, at this point.
The Sim slightly prefers Zoe, but another interesting option could be something like Rez or Says trying to set up two triple triples. It's probably too easy to block, but this time it would prevent Jason from playing lockdown with Axe. Jason would probably still play Axe, and then Bob would have access to a triple triple. So that could be an interesting choice. And we get to sweat with Bob. Chat, I want to know what country you are from. I want to see our international audience. Can we get some countries in the chat? I want to know where you are from. Bob has played ZE. And if Bob can draw the T after Axe, he will have Rosulate if Jason plays Axe, but he's playing Vexil.
Vexel, all right.
I think this will probably put the game away. It'll be very tough to come back.
Yeah, great vision by Bob spotting loop, though it didn't work out this time. It usually does not work out, but we like to see the chances staying alive as long as they can.
Yes, that you should always be trying to give yourself a chance. It exists in more spots than it might appear. The game appears to be over. I don't know. Should Bob attempt a bingo? It seems like even if he finds something, it will get blocked. Let's see what kind of countries we've got. We've got Canada, Norway. Istanbul is not a country, but it is in Turkey. It's good to see the international crowd. We love international Scrabble, and it is fun to see people playing Collins all around the world. That's why we wanted to show the Collins stream. I know a certain greatest of all time is in the NWL division, but we need to get some Collins for the international crowd, and that is what Bob Linn did when he donated for the Collins field here at the Scrabble Players Championship. Very generous. They did not have the budget for Collins, but Bob Linn offered to chip in and pay for Josh Greenway to run the stream and pay for us to commentate. And so now we can do a parallel stream with two of us commentating NWL and two of us commentating Collins, which is very good. I'm very happy to be able to do this alongside NWL, but we are not enemies. So if you want, we recommend at least leaving both open and maybe one of them on mute. Put NWL on mute, but stay in the chat to raise the viewerships. That would be great.
Absolutely. I know that in the position of a stream watcher right now, I would for sure have both streams going. Bob has a lot of time to think here. For those who are newer to watching tournament Scrabble, one thing in longer tournaments is, there's lots of games to come. You have to choose where you're going to put your energy, and he might decide it makes more sense to cut spread here than to go for a win that probably won't materialize with no easy way to fish for a bingo in 2 spots.
And one interesting choice might be Doc U. Think you might hit a decent amount of outs if you play Doc U. Maybe you can hit Tress. Maybe you can hit I don't know, Sears if you draw the A or the E, forming loops. That's one way to cut spread. I don't think it would be wise to fish. I think it just gets blocked and you'll end up not having scored that many points and you'll just lose some spread. And hey, you don't want to miss the finals by a
Right.
few spread points, do you?
And with the H in the pool, that's also often Jason's highest scoring spot with both the O column CH hook and playing through with something like tack. Um, so I like Docu as an option.
Yeah, I think Docu's good. It seems to draw outs. I wonder if there's a way to draw two outs all 8 times. I feel like maybe if you start with a with like a 5 tile play, maybe we can play off 8 tiles in 2 turns every time, even with the V. Sudor plays up top, keeping OES. I think that might be the move. I think you can find outs even with the V. It looks like you can play something like Evos on the bottom or Vos on the top, ovens. So I think that might be what I would do. I think that's the best way to preserve spread. It's a good lesson. Oftentimes in these spots, you can iterate through. Oftentimes, maybe the tile heavy play should come first because it's easier to set up outs in 2 different spots with every tile in the bag. And I think that is effectively what would happen if Bob Linn plays Sudor on top. And it's also just a really nice scoring play. Neil, how have you managed to, you're pretty new to Scrabble. How have you developed your acumen in a one in the bag spot, even if the game is not on the line? How do you preserve spread?
I mean, a lot of my practice in this has come from playing games with Best Bot or Macondo. Shout out to the whole team behind developing that. Um, One thing that I generally think about is a pre-end game with one in the bag is kind of like a expanded version of a end game, meaning that you can, for example, if you can draw an inference from your opponent's previous plays, you can start by thinking about which tiles are most likely to be in the bag, then look at threats both with the entire 8 tile pool and with the 7 tiles that you think are most likely to be on your opponent's rack, and see if there's anything you can do to ideally some combination of thwart your opponent's worst threat, set yourself up for an out in 2 or another good scoring sequence. So there's myriad ways that pre-end games can play out, but those are some common themes that come up when bingos are not going to be happening, as is the case here. I think in Bob's position, one play I would notice is something like Veiny on column B. I may not be able to do very much about that, and I probably wouldn't try to. I would consider the fact that Jason is pretty likely to have a play like that, but I would also consider what my best options are. How about you, Matt?
I think a really good way of thinking through this is to maybe set aside different combos of letters and look at possible outplays with those plus the things in the bag. That's what I did with EOS. And then I saw Sudor as a play that leaves EOS, and it looks pretty friendly to outplays. You'll still have things like always in two different spots with the Y and ovens on the bottom and foes on the top with the V, and those are kind of the harder ones to work with. It looks like with the A and the E draws, you at least have one out to threaten things. And Sudor is a really nice score. So I don't know. That might be nice. Maybe something like Door Eyes to block. Vying leaves different ways to hit outs. US isn't great, but it'll probably be easier to go out with 3 tiles as opposed to 4 if you play something like Door Eyes. So those are kind of the thought processes that go on in my head in a spot like this. And I wanted to give a shout out to someone named Cheryl Kagan. Cheryl's a state senator in the state of Maryland, which is where this event is running, and she's as a government official, she's connected to a lot of people in the government, and she helped secure this venue at an affordable rate. And she even convinced the governor Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland, to give Scrabble a shout out. So I wanted to say thanks to the good people in the government of Maryland for helping us ensure that we can have a financially successful SPC. We have done this before. We had the North American Scrabble Championship 3 years ago in downtown Baltimore, and we are looking at another one of Maryland's venues here, a popular resort, Maryland Live Casino in Arundel Mills Plaza, a couple miles south of Baltimore. So thank you very much to Cheryl Kagan for helping ensure we get a financially viable, affordable venue for the SPC and helping us ensure SPC is a viable tournament for years to come.
Shout out to everyone who's in here in the chat. We love to see the engagement. We've got over a third proportion of likes to viewers, which is always good to see.
Bob will be playing dress, a nice scoring option. I think he has at least one outplay with the EOU, although I worry, can that be blocked in an effective manner? Will Jason be able to go out in 2? Jason has the very nice choice of Vanity, which does block Rue, so I believe that will be the best play. It will block outplays, and it will leave Jason with Arg for 16 on the bottom, so that's a great sequence blocking the out and leaving an out. Niel.
And it looks like he he was about to set something up. I think the remaining tiles is pool. It should be EOU, but all right. Viney going down does not block Bob's outplay, and
Does Bob know that there's a tile in the bag? Does he still just have OU? Uh-oh. So what happens here is if Bob just plays OU and Jason notices, Jason will just say, hey, there's a tile in the bag, and Bob will be stuck with the choice he made. Bob would much rather know that the E is in the bag because it is supposed to be his, and he does have an outplay with it. And then Jason will be able to play something. He has the word got on his rack. I don't know exactly what's best. I don't know if he has an out. I think Thaga. No. I don't know. He might not have an out, but
he
yeah,
can certainly score.
he can certainly score with something like Tatch. That would be 26. Bob is about to put something down. Let's see if Jason knows and tells him to draw that E. You're not out. I'm playing. I'm scoring. Jason might be able to milk a little bit of spread if he knows that there's a tile in the bag. And next round, we have an exciting matchup between a former champion of this event, Austin Shin, a two-time champion, and a former champion of the NWL event here, Alex Seaholm. It should be a very exciting matchup. We've seen both of them on stream regularly, most recently last week, and they are top competitors. Austin is originally from the United Kingdom. He lives in New Orleans now. Alex Seaholm lives in the suburbs of Seattle. But events like this are a great way to bring people from around the country together and should be a great game. Neil, what do you know about Austin and Alec?
Well, both of them top players for many years. Austin, as we have discussed on streams before, extremely solid. Nearly always finds his top plays. Alec,
Yeah,
also an incredible play finder, and we see him in the Discord a lot of the time solving puzzles that are pretty dang impossible for the 99% of the rest of us.
Alex Seaholm loves to sit in the comments on these videos. I've heard he set up a bot so that he can post the best play even while he's playing, which is going to be fun. No, I'm just kidding. Bob is going out, except he's not going out. But we'll see if Jason actually noticed. Jason's showing his titles, so maybe not.
Looks like the stray E
So,
will
once
go
once it's
unnoticed.
once it's too late to change it, which happens after 20 seconds, we will let them know so that Alec and Austin are not confused about. Bob's counting the E's because he doesn't know what's going on. Yeah,
Looks like
I'm not
the
sure.
extra call.
As long as it's been less than 20 seconds, what we're gonna do is we're gonna give Bob the E, and then we're gonna reset with Jason having his rack because basically that's what's supposed to have happened because Bob made the play that emptied the bag, so the E is supposed to be his. So we're gonna see Bob with the E, and then because that means our is not an outplay, it's gonna be Jason's turn. But it looks like what are we doing? Are we giving it to Bob? If it's been over 20 seconds, it's too late, and I couldn't quite tell based on the timing. So let's see what they do.
Looks from what the players have been doing that the E was not in fact in the bag, which is
He was not in the bag. That is weird. Where did it end up?
pretty unusual for any
It
board
was
where things started out squared.
it was
So
definitely here in the first two rounds. I'm not quite sure what's going on. If it went into the bag at the beginning, then likely we are supposed to give it to Bob, but they're just saying game over, it looks like. If it didn't go into the bag at the beginning, then they consented to playing with whatever the tile pool was, even if it's wrong. If it fell out in the middle, I believe it is supposed to go back in, but we don't know where it is. So I think they're just going to call it here, and it's going to be three 386 to 493, assuming they scored it correctly. And we will be right back as soon as we have a fresh